Hey climbers, Brent here, and before we get into the show, I want to let you know about a killer event that's coming up. It's the Martha's Vineyard Songwriting Festival, and it's coming up September 12th through the 16th in beautiful Martha's Vineyard. We're going to have a great weekend of music, workshops, and networking. I'm co-headlining the weekend workshops with my pal, Jimmy Yeary. Jimmy wrote I Drive Your Truck for Lee Brice, Everything's Gonna Be Alright for David Lee Murphy and Kenny Chesney, and a bunch of other stuff. Joining us will be hit songwriters Byron Hill, who's written hits for George Strait and a bunch of others, and Jesse Lee, whose hits include Peter Pan for Kelsey Ballerini. We'd love to have you join us in the vineyard. You can get all the details and reserve your spot today at marthasvineyardsongwritingfest.com. That's marthasvineyardsongwritingfest.com. All right, Johnny, do your thing.
Welcome to the climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. What is leverage, you ask?
What is leverage?
Leverage is a strategic advantage. It's the power to act effectively. And you don't have the power because it comes from anywhere other than your reputation. You've already done something. It's not potential. It's not unbridled talent. No, we've already created some cash flow. We've already made some moves. We already have an audience. There's people that are already responding to it. That's leverage, and that's what you're going to need to get a record deal, to get a manager, to get a publishing deal, to get all the things that you want, to get other co-writes, to advance your career. You're going to need to come in with something that's already been done and have a little leverage and make them think differently, make them think a little bit more of you than just some potential that they may or may not want to invest in. That's why we called it The Climb, C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. And the genius that came up with that is my good friend and my co-host, who I want to introduce you to, Mr. Brent Baxter. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady Antebellum, Joe Nichols, and more. And that's not all. Brent helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, how to do business like a pro, and on a regular basis, he gives you opportunities to connect with the pros. He gets you in front of the pros so that you can take that next step up when you're ready. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, that's songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They help you find your sound and they help you grow your audience so you can become the artist that everybody loves and so you can get paid. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production, singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
What's up, brother?
Hello.
Hello. Well, we might shake a couple rafters today.
Okay, let's try this.
I think what we're going to talk about is a lot of people are starting to understand. Like, I feel like more and more people are cluing into this, and they, as a what's the word I'm looking for? Not an idiot, because everybody else is doing it. They're hearing that that's what they should be doing. They might not even know why they should be doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like the lore is kind of getting around.
The buzz is kind of happening, but not why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what we're going to talk about is Sheryl Crow's final album, because they think final album. No more albums from Sheryl Crow. And why is that happening? We're going to talk about that. But first, take care of a little business. Number one is the Climb community. If you haven't joined it yet, find it on Facebook. Ask to be let in. We let everybody in as long as you have a picture. And
I mean, it doesn't have to be like a sexy picture.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be good. We're not judging the pictures, but the Easter egg thing or whatever, the profile, the weird shadow thing, man. Load the picture up. Otherwise, you look like a bot, and we're not going to. You got to have a heartbeat.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But man, we put lots of information up there. We've got lots of songwriters, indie artists, music marketers helping other people, trying to answer questions and find your way, so you can cut through the clutter and up your. Connect songwriter co-write connections. There's places where you can share your music and get some feedback from other writers on there. It's cool, man. It's very community oriented. It's growing like every single day. So we're stoked about that. Don't be a spammy terrorist or you will be roadhoused. Number two, subscribe to the podcast. Every single Tuesday, the episodes will automatically come in. Every single Friday, the mini-sodes will come in. And you don't have to worry about what you missed. It's all right there, archived, and you can listen to them and go through the stuff that's relevant to you. Share it. That's the best compliment you could give us is tell somebody about it. If you're listening to more than one episode and not turning us off and deleting us from your phone, then and we're not for everybody. It's okay, but the ones we are for, some birds of a feather flock together. Some other birds that are going to be able to benefit from it. So let them know, and finally leave a rating and review, and let us know. Let other people know who are thinking about kind of coming in what we're about. They're going to know that they don't need to not going to waste their time here. Okay. So with that, though, we have one final 5-star review.
Oh, awesome! I didn't even see it because it's not showing up on my phone, but I see it here. So let me read this here. So this is Balance. It's from Steve Winnett. I hope it's pronounced Winnett or Winnett. Steve's, I think, a member over at Freddy.com. So Steve, good to see you on here. Thank you for the 5-star review.
Yeah.
Titled Balance. It says, I titled this one Balance because that's what Johnny D and Brent Baxter bring to the table for me. These guys are the pros. They dive deep into every little nook and cranny about the music business, and then they share all that knowledge with us for free. Anytime I feel like I'm slacking, I just throw on a podcast, and these two are full of encouragement, or full of something, and make you want to put your foot on the floor and get her done. I'd recommend this podcast for any musician, novice, or pro. Lots of great information here, and they are a hoot to listen to. Great show, guys. Thank you for caring enough about us to take time away from your lives to help us better ours, giving us the best chance at reaching our goals. Rock on, guys. Rock on, Steve.
That's awesome. Thank you, Steve. That's killer.
Yes, it's funny. He, I think it was on Instagram. He just showed up the other day, and I posted about, as we were recording this, the last episode that came out was, what was it? It was How Do You Stay Focused? And he commented, and I'll pull this up real quick. He was like, seems like every podcast, they're answering the very questions I currently have on my mind. I think they may be stalking me. And so I sent back, I'm like, awesome, happy to be of service. He's like, see, this is what I mean. I'm getting ready to put on the C.L.I.M.B podcast, How to Stay Focused, while I go mow this lawn, and I open up the Citra app, and you reply. I'm like, I gave him the eyes looking at him. The eyes emoji. I'm looking at you, Steve.
That's a nice John Deere, Steve.
That's nice. Is that a 360? Zero turn radius?
Hey, you need some new shoes, too.
No, I'm gonna mow those. So thank you, Steve. We appreciate you, buddy.
Right on. Well, let's get into this. July 2nd, Music Row magazine.
Yes.
Sheryl Crow. This was an article that made it around. We posted this article on
in the C.L.I.M.B community.
In the C.L.I.M.B community, and on my on Daredevil, as well as my personal feed. So you can find it. Just scroll down to the July 2nd post. Mm-hmm. But Sheryl Crow says she's done making records.
Yeah, done making albums.
So the first thing you're like, what?
Well,
like,
no. All I want to do is hear some more Sheryl Crow.
And I'll tell you what, you get into it, and the meat of the story isn't that she's going to stop making music. It's just she's going to stop making records,
making albums.
Yeah. And it's why is she doing that? It's a what I believe to be a temporary. It'll last a few years, but I believe it's a temporary situation. I'm sad about that.
Yeah, me too.
I love albums. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's some albums that, where the whole record changed my life. You know? I think of Back in Black, AC/DC, Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses, Queensryche's Mind Crime, Rumors by...
Weird Al, Fat.
That was the one! Because I'm fat.
Ham on whole wheat.
Ham on whole wheat.
Yes.
What are some of the iconic records that just blew your mind? The whole record, where it was front to back, you can listen to it and over and over and over and over again.
I mean, Rope in the Wind, No Fences, just great stuff.
Yeah,
some of that early Garth stuff.
So solid,
so good.
I mean, Pink Floyd, The Wall, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Mm-hmm. There are records that are just the front to back. Pyromania, Def Leppard. Mm-hmm. Killer record. The one before that was really cool. I liked everything. So and the album sort of gives you a broader scope, right?
They can go some different places that aren't singles.
Yeah.
Because I would always love some of the B-sides. For Garth, it's a song like Wolves that just
that
amazing.
Deep cut on the record.
That cuts deep, Yeah. They're this isn't a single, but it's amazing. songs like that. It's like, I don't want those to go away.
Yeah. And I think that this is a function of just the market changing, the technology changing. We're definitely more of a streaming kind of thing. You don't put a whole album on a playlist, you put a song on a playlist.
Right. Yeah.
But it is an art form, and I just think everything has to settle down, and that'll come back. But you know what? Let's focus on right now. Like I do, because I do believe that once everything settles down, you're going to see some tastemakers start to rise. Like the radio stations are going to figure out that, you know what, the terrestrial analog thing is over, and we need to be digital. But why? I'm always asking, Mike, I've had these questions in several different industry pro circles. Like, think about what Howard Stern did, going to digital.
Yeah.
And getting a $500 million contract and taking like 2 million people with him that subscribe just to get his show because he's a personality. And that's we're missing the tastemakers. We've got some blogs and stuff, but we don't, like, podcasts. The whole platform of podcasting is exploding right now. It's on the rise because you get personalities. We get a lot of comments on just the way you and I interact with each other.
They have no idea we're robots.
They don't know. We fooled everybody.
Them all.
And but the personality piece of it is what you put across. That's what we connect to with DJs, back in the day. And that became somebody that was a trusted source for music that you were like, hey, I want to, so why I think some podcasters who are just really into how to market, number one, and number two, can spin some songs, and number three, even the issue there, the speed bump is like, how do they manage the business of it? Because they're gonna have to pay, right?
Yeah. How do you spin songs on a podcast and then?
But the radio stations, like iHeartRadio, and instead of they keep trying to push the stations and give a digital face to the station, but what they should be focusing on is the personality. Yeah. And that'll eventually happen, I promise you, where when they rig up and they stop thinking about it like a terrestrial radio station and they start thinking about it like a tech company, and they're like, wow, we've got this one guy like Howard Stern who's got this crazy, maybe he's not anything like Howard Stern, but he's big, a personality who's going to resonate with a lot of people, and that person is going to be able to have a reach that's worldwide and far bigger than anything they could have ever had on, you can go from zero to like Bobby Bones syndication, man, 130 stations very quickly if you know what you're doing and you've got good content and it's sold the right way, right? And people go there and they listen and they want that kind of station it's a playlist with a personality, really, at the end of the day, right? So the question is, what happens now, though? Because that's going to take a while for that to shake out. There's a lot of adjustments that need to go on in the music industry before people start thinking about like that. Why is she doing this single? Why are singles what's happening? Because when you're pushing something digitally, Sheryl Crow, I don't know how much she's getting on the radio anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
She might have officially moved into the legacy artist market, right? Where she's going to make she's got a multi-million-dollar brand name. She's an astounding musician, songwriter, individual. I mean, this is not taking anything away from her. I love Sheryl Crow.
Yeah, she's great.
Freaking amazing. And I love her story. I love her grit. I love
Kennett, Missouri.
Everything about her. Yeah.
She used to babysit a friend of mine in college.
Stop it.
Yeah, he was like, Sheryl Crow was my babysitter. And she was having, like, All I Want to Do just came out. He's like, I did not appreciate it at the time. I was 8. Or whatever. I'm like, yeah, buddy, that's tough. Or he was 5 or whatever.
You'll be cool forever just for knowing him.
Yeah.
But the reason that singles are the big deal is because of the formats that we're consuming them on at the moment, but also because of the way that they're going to be pushed digitally. When you're pushing something digitally, it's about the artist. It's not about the song. Whereas the song could do all the talking on radio. We talked about the difference in a previous episode about the difference between radio and digital. But it's about the song. So here's the thing. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm not going to go out on a limb. I'm going to make a statement here. People will be like, what? Wait.
Market.
What?
Yes.
This is better for indie artists. Because if it starts to be said, if you heard from a friend who heard from a friend who heard from a friend that it's all singles now, and so that was enough for you to start to believe that it's all about singles, then you'll stop spending money on CDs. Recording a whole freaking CD. Yeah, record 10 songs or 12 songs because that's your dream.
Because that's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And focus on taking the budget that you would spend on that album and maybe record 2 or 3 singles.
Yeah.
And spend the remainder of that money, of those precious resources, marketing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
better have one song recorded and have a lot of people know about it than have 10 songs recorded and nobody know about it.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, listen, this is worth repeating. Like, everybody flip-flops this recipe. You know, if you go to a record label, we've got to be aware that we are pushing a product, and that's what we're doing. We're pushing a product that nobody needs and nobody wants. It has zero value.
And it's competitive.
And it's really competitive.
Yeah.
Like, overly competitive.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm waiting for that to die down a little bit, too. For the whole romance of being a songwriter and an artist, because the rock stars are kind of disappearing, right? Goes away, and then some kids just rather go play video games than putting up their stupid fingerprint on SoundCloud. You know what I mean? That's
the world's refrigerator.
It's horrific, yeah. But man, this is like, push the single and push the and spend the money getting it out there. You'll see the needle move. If you're spending all the money on the product and no money on the marketing, this is why you're not getting anywhere. For everybody listening that's got a halfway decent product, you don't even have to be that good. Just halfway decent. I swear to you, if you spent most of the money that you spent recording your CD on marketing and pushed one song out, you'd have a lot more fans than you do right now.
Yeah.
Because a lot more people would know about it, and that would be maybe a group of fans that like less than mediocre crap.
Fine.
God bless you.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to focus on getting the art and the artist in front of new eyeballs.
Yeah,
that's the deal. And I have this conversation, like, this is what separates Daredevil from everybody else on the row, and what we're doing with Randy with Bar Frog from everybody else, because we kind of get that aspect of it, and people are still trying to kick the dead horse in the old way. Why am I telling you this? Not to pat myself on the back. I'm telling you this because here's the opportunity. If I'm telling you in pro circles, and I'm watching record labels do it, and they're still just making a mess of it because they're trying to implement the old methods on a new technology, on a new platform, it's not working. The ones who take a breath and realize, oh, we could do this a different way. Because, by the way, if you spend all your money on a CD and you don't do any marketing, how much are you learning about marketing?
I'm not going to learn anything about marketing because I haven't done it.
That's right.
I haven't invested in it.
And are you hoping that, a record label is going to pick that up?
Yes, because if it's good, they will find me somehow.
Yeah.
In my mom's
in your mom's basement. And even if they do, even if they do find you somehow in your mom's basement, and you win the lottery and you get the 1 in a million chance of being the artist with a whole lot of talent and a really great record on a record label, and you get a deal and you have no audience, and then the next one of my artists comes along.
Yeah, it goes, I want the next single to drop to be mine, not that guy's on the label,
because he's got a bigger audience.
Because I got a fan base. They're like, oh, well, that's more of a sure bet, and we're watching our money because this is millions of dollars.
There you go.
And you got more leverage anyway coming in.
Right.
And you may stipulate
leverage.
I get a single released with full promotion within this so many days of signing this piece of paper.
Yep.
You're not going to have that because you ain't got no stroke.
It's so. I mean, look at what's happening in the marketplace. There's several indicators that are pushing towards this. I think of. Let's just talk about physical product, right? The day before this show, Crow was posted. I think July 2nd that was a Monday, so it might have been the Thursday before that when Music Row comes out. But the not Musicland. Look at me, I'm old school. Best Buy announced like 5 months ago. As of July 1st of this year, as of a couple of weeks ago, as of a month and a half ago now when this drops. Yeah, they're not selling CDs anymore. Yeah. And so they're done.
And the country music's like, ha! Got you beat. We haven't sold CDs in years.
Yeah, we're way ahead of you there, pal. And rock and pop are like, what's a CD?
What's a CD? Right. Yeah.
But and rap, right? Like I was like, well, we're selling. It's all digital. But then Target, one of the other big, super massive physical distributors, announces that they're just going to still sell them, but only on consignment. So they're not going to buy a shipment of CDs from a record label and cut a check like they used to. Like we'll still make some space for you in the store, And at the end of the month, if we sell any, we'll send you a check for those, along with the rest of the crap we didn't sell.
Yeah. And
you can take that back. So how long? That's an unsustainable relationship. That's a soft out, right?
Yeah.
It won't be long before they're like, we're done too.
I'm not breaking up with you. I'm just going to not take care of my hygiene for a while, and you'll break up with me.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. Yeah. And then that retail space in their stores can be put to something that's going to move better and make more money. So CDs, there's gone. Okay. What's another indicator? Another indicator is the I lost my train of thought.
Choo choo.
I had it right there.
Wank.
Hold on.
But this is the singles market. That's what it used to be like in the 50s. Elvis, A side, B side.
Yep.
And then you had the rise of the albums, like what in the 70s or whatever, something like that. You know, where it was the whole album experience. And Bobby Bones talked about the John Mayer thing recently, where Mayer released like 3 or 4 songs at a time.
Right.
And gave you a few months in between, and then he would drop like 3 more. And it was just a different cycle. And like Bobby was talking about, like, it's great because you drop 12 songs on me or 10 songs on me. I don't digest them all. We're all drinking from a fire hydrant with music. We got so much coming at us all the time. How, we used to, you talk about the albums that changed your life. You would sit and you would chill and live with that album for a long time. Mm-hmm. Like even albums we like, man, there's something new coming in, blowing it off soon, like knocking it off the deck. Because especially if you're doing digital stuff, you don't have that physical product in your hand. The new digital stuff, you may go and create your playlist, save an album on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, but it's not sitting on, on your nightstand or whatever. New stuff comes in and you forget about it. You don't have time to really digest all those songs. And doing like this, the singles or couple songs at a time, you get more time to digest those couple songs, and then he releases a new one. Maybe there's a single off that next batch, and then the single off the next 3 songs that come out. And so it gives you something new to talk about all the time. So that's good for marketing. New is more noteworthy than, it's his 3rd single off the record that came out, 18 months ago.
That's right.
It's not nearly as sexy as new single, nobody's heard it. Not the, all these people that have streamed it have heard it and all these other people, but no, this is new, no one's heard it.
Yeah.
And so it gives it more heat that way.
And you know what? From an indie artist level, think about it just from a pragmatic business point of view, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you're going to set up a lemonade stand and you want to go, and your goal is to go worldwide with the lemonade stand, I mean, you don't just start buying up properties. Right? Like, no, first thing you got to do is set up the first lemonade stand. You got to set up the first TGI Fridays. You got to set up the first O'Charlie's. You got to set up the first one in the chain and make it make sense, right?
Right. Make it profitable.
And then it grows from there. Mm-hmm. So, profitable. You've got to think like a business person.
Yeah.
You've got to think like a business person. Far easier to be profitable on one single than it is on a whole CD. Mm-hmm. Especially since, no matter what product you have to get people aware of it. You got to get it, you got to get it out there. So if you're not marketing, if you're not thinking about this, and you're only being the artist, then you're just nobody's going to know.
Yeah, I mean, people aren't thinking like business people; they're thinking like an uninformed gambler.
Yeah,
like I'm just going to put this money in that I spent on this album, and I'm just going to hope
all in.
Yeah.
All in.
All in, and I hope that the little ball lands on black 13 or whatever, and here we go.
Yeah.
That's not how a business person thinks, or an intelligent gambler even.
Right? No, right. They are master of the game. They understand the numbers. They understand what's going on. And otherwise, you're just creating for yourself. Nothing wrong with that. Mm. But if your goal is to make a living doing this, then you're going to have to grow that brand. You're going to have to make people aware of it, and they're going to have to anticipate stuff coming out. And you're going to have to do it initially in the digital market before you can afford to blow it up on radio.
Mm-hmm. You know what we do this? I just thought about this with this podcast. These are singles.
Yeah.
We do at the beginning. We did 1 a week.
Yep.
Now we're doing 2 a week.
Yep.
But it's new content. We didn't save up, and some people do like seasons. That'd be more like dropping a record. Mm-hmm. But we're just dripping out content. Hopefully, it's anticipated. It's welcome. You want to see what's next, and if you dig it, you go back and find all the other stuff.
That's right.
You can go, then you can binge listen. But also, we talk about doing the one lemonade stand, then you scale up. Like, I don't think I had the Blue Yeti mic from the first episode. Maybe I did. Maybe I was that committed. I might not have. But there's technology and there's stuff that we learned and we iterated that's definitely a lot better now.
Yep.
If you go listen to some of those first ones, sonic qualities
not the best.
Just had a friend say that who, like, for the first time went and listened to it.
Yeah.
And she was like, she's like, where do I start with this whole thing? You guys got 100, like a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Start at number 1.
Yeah.
And just learn, like, why should we listen to these guys?
Yeah.
And you can learn a little bit about me, and you can, and like, okay. And then she listened to the last one.
Yeah.
She's like, night and day difference.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, on the way we present it, on how we figured it out along the way.
Yeah, and if we said we're going to do 130 episodes and then we're going to drop them all, you know, like, we wouldn't have had that feedback, the learning curve.
That's right.
You know, the iterating. So you may put out instead of doing 10 songs, and your next 3 or 4 singles are coming out of that. What if, the second single is, different from your first single, and that second single blows up? You're like, oh, I wish I had more of that stuff. Yeah. I didn't record any more of that stuff. So now back to phase 1 with the third single, which is not what people responded to, but I've already spent the money. This is what I got to do. It allows you to be a little bit more nimble. You do, what's hot, what's fresh now. And like, oh, people are responding to this side of what I do. Mm-hmm. Let's go feed that.
Yep.
But you can't really do that if you've already spent all your money on an album, and that's just one facet of that album. You can't dive deeper into that, because you're kind of locked in to go, well, that's what we got coming out.
That's right. That's right. I mean, man, it's a better way to go. Mm-hmm. It's just a better way to go. You got to learn more about it. If this still isn't making sense to you, rethink it. Like, understand that this is the way it's being consumed, no matter how you feel about a CD, no matter how you feel about a big body of work. Mm-hmm. Just take the one song and put it out there and blow people's minds with it, you know, and get the art and the artist in front of new people and figure out how to make that happen. Mm-hmm. If all artists did that, we'd have a lot more. I mean, what would happen? Just think about the numbers. Like, what would happen to Spotify when they make 34 cents a spin, right? Like, what would happen if like 1 million indie artists decided they're just going to put out one song and market the fire out of it? Like, how much would what would that change on a daily basis? Like, it would be astounding. And you're going to get people that are you're going to find that audience. You're going to get out there, and then the more you find that audience, the more things come to you. We got some interviews that are coming up later on this month or next month with like a Daredevil artist, and we're going to talk about that. But I haven't produced a record in probably 5 years. Yeah. It's just been EPs. Yeah. Jacob K's record, EP. We're doing Alora's record right now, EP. The Mark Bray, EP. Yeah. That's what's going on, Nick Hickman, just singles. Yeah. He didn't even have like a artwork for any sort of body of work. We're just putting out the singles and trying different ways to get him in front of new eyeballs. This is what's happening, guys, and I'm just trying to keep your finger on the pulse. Go read that article. It's a good article. It drives it home, man. When you got a multi-million-dollar brand name saying, you know what, it's not even worth it for who can afford to do a CD.
Pull that out of her pocket.
But why do it? Because nobody's consuming it. Yeah. Nobody cares right now. That's not a negative thing. I'm gonna miss the album stuff, but this is your chance to get in there. Doing one song and marketing that's a hell of a lot less expensive than recording 12 and not marketing them at all, right? Oh yeah. So anyway, hey guys, you want to keep your finger on the pulse. You want to put some momentum back in your career. Remember how good that felt? Remember how good that felt when things were popping and things were moving along and you're getting that next gig and all of a sudden it just seemed like everybody was saying yes? That's called momentum. And in order to do that, you got to start making something happen. We can help you get there. Sometimes just a 1 or 2 hour consulting call is all that it's going to take to customize something specifically for you. So reach out, email us at info@daredevilproduction.com. Production is singular, there is no S. Once again, info@daredevilproduction.com. In the subject line, put consulting, and we'll set up a time. Yes, there's a cost for it. Invest in yourself. It's not cost prohibitive. Invest in yourself. Learn how to do this and start to make some moves for yourself. So that brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. Subscribe to the podcast. Join the Climb community. Share it with a friend. Let them know. And finally, leave a 5-star rating and review. Let other people know that we are legit. This podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.